On Wednesday afternoon, the judge in Gibraltar's longest ever criminal trial delivered a verdict. More than 4 years after their arrest and 9 months after the trial started in the Supreme Court, Benjamin and Solomon Marrache were found guilty of 2 counts of conspiracy to defraud clients of the collapsed law firm Marrache & Co. Isaac Marrache was found guilty of 1 count of conspiracy to defraud. Leanne Turnbull was found not guilty of both counts. This morning, the 3 brothers arrived in court a little behind schedule, their suits heavily creased after 2 nights in Windmill Hill prison. Courtroom 1, again full to capacity, heard mitigation statements from lawyers speaking on behalf of the 3 brothers respectively. Sir Geoffrey Grigson also heard character references from, among others, Isaac Marrache's wife, Sarah, and the president of the Jewish community, James Levy QC. At about 11:45, the judge retired to consider sentencing. He returned at 12:22. He started by telling the brothers they'd been convicted of a very serious crime. He said it was not just that clients had lost very large sums of money as a result of their dishonest activities. What you did, and each of you is responsible for it, he said, was a gross breach of trust. The judge said they deprived millionaires of millions, but ordinary citizens have suffered as well. The High Court judge said their dishonest behaviour had been for their own substantial benefit. Of course you did everything you could to save the firm, said Sir Geoffrey. It was the only hope you had of saving yourselves. He reminded the brothers they'd sought to avoid trial, and every point that could be argued, good, bad or indifferent, has been taken. Sir Geoffrey said some very serious allegations had been made against other professionals on the brothers' behalf. Evidence, he said, of a complete lack of remorse and an unscrupulous desire to avoid accepting responsibility for your own actions. The judge said Benjamin Marrache had been the central figure in both conspiracies. All I have seen in this courtroom, he said, is arrogance. The High Court judge sentenced Marrache & Co.'s former managing partner to 8 years in prison for the first count and 3 years for the second count of conspiracy to defraud. He said each count represented a distinct form of dishonest conduct, and as such the sentences are to be served consecutively, equaling 11 years in prison. Sir Geoffrey then turned to the former finance director and said he had been Benjamin Marrache's loyal assistant. Solomon Marrache, you were in charge of accounts. You saw exactly what was going on, he said. The judge sentenced Solomon Marrache to 7 years in prison for count 1 and 2 years for count 2. I have regard to your secondary role and the principle of totality, said Sir Geoffrey. Solomon Marrache's sentences will therefore run concurrently, equaling a total sentence of 7 years in prison. The 69-year-old judge then turned to the former senior partner, the man who had founded the now collapsed law firm Marrache & Co. Isaac Marrache, you could have stopped this fraud. You didn't. You benefited from it. And when things became difficult, you joined in the various deceptions perpetrated by your brothers. Sir Geoffrey sentenced Isaac Marrache to 7 years. As emotional family members watched on, the 3 Marrache brothers were escorted out of the Supreme Court by the prison service and transported up to Windmill Hill Prison. Before rising, the judge said he thought it was appropriate to commend the police team who investigated the case. It seems to me the job they did was huge, and they did it with great skill and integrity, said Sir Geoffrey. In particular, Mr. Thomas Tunbridge. In this way, the longest criminal trial in Gibraltar's legal history came to a close today. Unsurprisingly, the Marrache brothers have indicated they will be appealing the court's decision. But for now, at least, after 9 months in the Supreme Court and with countless victims out of pocket, Sir Geoffrey Grigson has spoken. Benjamin Marrache has been sentenced to 11 years, and his brothers Solomon and Isaac to 7 years behind bars.